Welcome to The Moments That Made Me in association with the University of Hull. This is the podcast where we attempt to unpick and unpack the three most significant moments in the lives of this country's finest Olympic athletes, which have ultimately made them the people that they are today. Now, already we are in episode 6. We've spoken to the likes of Ed Clancy, Pete Reed, Becky and Ellie Downey, Becky Adlington and Maddie Hinch, which, by the way, you can still listen to wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you to all of you who've left feedback and comments. It's safe to say that you've enjoyed these stories as much as I have. And with that in mind, please do rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Now, just a quick reminder that our next episode was recorded in June during lockdown, just to give you a little bit of context there. But this week's guest is one of the nicest men in all of Olympic sport. He's a double Olympic medalist with a lot of ups and a lot of downs. He's our 6th guest on The Moments That Made Me in association with the University of Hull. I give you Lutalo Muhammad. Now, Lutalo, I'm going to break interview convention that's lasted for many, many, many decades. Normally, the host would introduce the guest, but I feel the best person to introduce Lutalo Muhammad is the man himself. So, Lutalo, take it away.
Well, for those who don't know, my name's Lutalo Muhammad. I am a Taekwondo extraordinaire, so to speak. No. I am a double Olympic medalist, European champion, World Grand Prix champion. So I've really experienced the top in my sport, but I've also, I feel, had the rough end of the stick a few times, which I'm sure we're going to get into, but it's those rough times that really make you. So I'm more than glad to be on the chat with Radzi today, man. I can't wait to get into it.
Now, Lutalo, I think we're going to have to go again, because before, when I've heard you introduce yourself, you don't say it so humbly. You don't pretend you're shy and retiring. You go, I'm World Grand Prix champion, I'm Commonwealth champion, European champion.
No, we got to keep it humble. I mean...
Good. Okay, well, we're also going to keep it academic. So I'm going to start with 5 questions to test you, to see how well you know yourself and a little bit about your career. Are you up for it?
Of course, I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay. To the nearest 100 followers, what's your combined Twitter and Instagram following?
40,000?
35,400.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm a little bit off.
But the rest is about your actual career on the mat. So this is where you can come into your own. So question number 2. You joined the GB Academy in 2011 and your first major medal was gold in the European Championships. Who did you beat in the final, though?
I beat Augustin Batter of France.
Correct, sir. He's back in the game. So you also got a very, very memorable Olympic bronze medal in London 2012, defeating Armenian Arman Yeremyan. But what was the score?
Ooh, that's hard. I think it was 9-6.
How sure are you?
Not very sure. I just remember getting the bronze. That's it. I secured the medal. I got it. Yeah. That's it.
It was 9-3.
Ah, okay. That's my fault. It's all good. I still got the medal. That's all that matters.
And it's funny you remember your score. Is it your... Don't worry about him.
Literally.
Question number 4. So Taekwondo was introduced to the Olympics in the year 2000, and Team GB since then have won 6 medals. But where does that leave them in the overall Taekwondo medal tally?
That would probably put us 5th overall.
It's joint 6th.
Ah, close. Okay. But that goes to show what a tremendous rise we've had in our sport, doesn't it? I mean, a Korean martial art, a Korean sport, for Team GB to be the top 6 ever, I think it's just a testament to the amazing run we've had in the last couple of years.
Absolutely, and you've made a contribution to that yourself with 2 medals, and
that's a massive blessing.
I cannot wait to talk to you about that. But the final question about Lutalo Muhammad is, you're from Walthamstow in East London, so just up the road from the Olympic Park where the London 2012 Olympic Games was. But the question is, to the nearest 0.1 of a mile, how far from your parents' house to the Olympic Stadium is it?
6.9 miles. And that's a complete guess.
Now, I hope we've got the correct door. We've got it as 2.9 miles.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow.
either the cardio gains are going really badly right now, or your geography's really out.
Wow.
Where are you now, by the way?
I'm in Manchester right now. That's where the World Class Centre is based, so it's where I do most of my training.
And how's lockdown been for you?
Spent the lockdown in London with my family, so it was really good to kind of go back to the basics, do some training with my dad. So yeah, it was. I think it was positive in that sense.
I feel like for you personally, this is a more positive experience than a negative one, in that it gives you another year to overcome your injury and get yourself ready for selection for Tokyo.
It's an opportunity to get more experience, get more ring time, more time to get fully fit and fully healthy, and to hopefully attack those games next year.
It's exciting to hear that you actually are so upbeat about this, because some people might have trepidation and nerves towards something like that, but you can tell by the smile on your face that this is what's meant to happen for you.
Be a veteran of 2 Olympic Games and to still be in my 20s is it's a major blessing for me. So I can think about this next Games almost like a business in a sense, and I know what to expect at every single phase of an Olympics, going all the way up to an Olympic final, which is really massive when you can tap into it. I think we're going to see something special next year, and I honestly can't wait.
And you mentioned still being in your 20s. Your first win was as a junior at 16 years old, and this podcast is all about the moments that made you. And for you, that moment came when you were 16 years old at the German Open.
The German Open was at the time the biggest tournament on the competition schedule for a junior outside of the majors. All the best in the world was going to be there, and I was going into that tournament really a rookie. It was the biggest stage I had been on, and not much was really expected of me. And I just remember in the tournament, I kept going through the rounds, so I kept, into the round of 16, into the quarter-final, into the semi-final, and it didn't really dawn on me that I could win. It just until I reached the final, and I was just and it was just, I thought, okay, I just decided, all right, I'm gonna win. I'm here, I may as well win. And I went on, and it was a really tight battle. I think he was the world number 1 at the time, and I ended up winning. And that tournament just gave me a new level of confidence, because I knew now that I could not only mix it up with the best in the world, but I could beat them. And that was a very formative year, because it was 2008, and in 2008 it was also the Beijing Olympics, and that Olympics was such a special one because Taekwondo, we got our first ever medal. Sarah Stevenson, our OG of GB Taekwondo, first ever 4-time world champion, first ever medal she delivered for GB, and really was the one that took the program to where it is today and set that foundation. So obviously we have to pay respect to Sarah Stevenson, and I think it really helped that Olympics was such a spectacular one, in Usain Bolt winning 3 gold medals, Michael Phelps winning 8 gold medals. It was just such a superb Olympics. I remember the opening ceremony and winning the biggest tournament on the circuit, compounded by that Olympics just being so visual and so great. And I'd been having this Olympic dream for so long anyway, since 2000, so I was 8 years into my Olympic dream, and that year I think it just created what you see in front of you today. That's where that year the confidence of being able to go to a tournament and expecting to win, really GB having a great Olympics in 2008, knowing that I was at that standard and knowing that the next one was going to be in London, it just, I think, fast-tracked my life in a way to where we are today. So yeah, that moment when I was 16 years old, it all started with that, and a reason why that I think is one of my formative moments is really what happened in the final. I decided I was going to win. So I think that tournament was one of the ones that really taught me about the power of the mind and the power of making a decision and almost just walking into that decision, because as you know, you made jokes at the start about how I'm not afraid to express my victories, or my achievements, and I think that sense of pride in what I've been able to do in my career is because I decided I was going to do those things before they actually happened. That tournament really taught me the power of the mind and the power of making decisions. And we know it's sports psychology today. We if you look at Serena Williams and Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, all the very best in their craft, they always seem to know in advance, and that really is it's not anything mystical or it's not any David Blaine stuff. It's really just the power of the mind, and I really want to express that to people watching this podcast today, especially any young athletes coming up, maybe just starting to get some good junior performances or moving up to the senior ranks. The mind is, I think, the most undertrained thing in all of sports. We focus so much on getting my times to a certain standard, or I need to get to this height, or I need to do this, or I need to score this many points, or blah blah. But we don't spend, also I need to lift this much or run this fast, but we spend very little time focusing on this. What has allowed me to experience massive success in Taekwondo wasn't just having great physical talent. Obviously I have that, but when you get to an Olympics, so do 15 other men in the category who are all budding for that one gold medal. We can all kick and punch when you get to the top level. What's going to decide I believe the men that occupy that podium, and especially the one that occupies that number one spot, is the person who has trained their mind to the best of their ability. That's what I've experienced time and time again in my career, and I'm a strong believer in that.
Thank you. Well, do you know what? Let's jump straight to it. Let's jump to another moment that made you Rio 2016. Can you tell us, first of all, so you get on the plane with Team GB, you go out to Rio. What was that process like? Where did you go? Where did you land? Where did you kind of acclimatise? What happened?
Rio, the preparation for it wasn't as great as it could have been. That was really the first time I'd started to have some trouble with injuries. It was almost a bit lastminute.com with some of the preparation. So getting to Rio, landing to Rio, first of all was just a massive sense of relief that I'd made it. Although I'd done all the qualification stuff, just with that last little injury. So we landed in Belo Horizonte, which was the holding camp for Team GB, and as per usual, Team GB probably do the best job of any team. I'm not just saying that because I'm on this podcast, but just keeping it real, of making sure that our preparation is amazing, and we're made to feel at home straight away, and the team's always great. So you meet people from other sports, and that's that whole kind of Olympic feeling really starts there. And training was going amazing. I was loving meeting some of the local people as well, and I think the difference between these games and the last ones is I had experienced being on the podium before, and I knew what that felt like, and I knew what it felt like to now stand to face the national anthem and to see another man hearing his national anthem, a grown big fighting man, drop to absolute tears of joy, and he's shaking on the podium. And I just remember being on that third place podium, so I was the third place, and he's just right in front of me, and I was thinking, wow, I need to wait 4 years just for an opportunity to feel what he's feeling right now. Is that as weird as that sounds, that's probably one of the most prominent moments from 2012. Although it was amazing winning my own medal, that was the first time, my first time seeing what a gold medal must feel like, and I was thinking, wow, okay, next time it's we're making this happen. So that was definitely the attitude for that games. I'd beaten my injury. I was fit. I was healthy. I was ready to go. and I was really going in there with a confidence of that I could do it. Yeah, I felt amazing. Everything was going my way, and everything just seemed to be destined toward winning that gold medal. I'd arguably beaten the favourite in the semi-final, so I was really going into the final looking like the gold medal was already around my neck. I didn't feel that way, but there was a sense of it. I could feel the aura. I was definitely the favourite because I'd been fighting the best that day. I'd beaten the best people, and in the final, I felt good. I felt like I had him in control. And fast forward to the last round. Fast forward to the last 10 seconds. I'm in the lead. I have by Taekwondo standards, not super comfortable, but I've got a decent lead. I think a 2-point lead, and 10 seconds to go. I remember the crowd shouting down 9, 8, 7, and I'm there. I'm dancing. I'm not even really thinking about winning yet because I know it's still a fight. And I think there was a break or something, and it was on like 3, 2, and I heard the 1, and I didn't look at the clock or anything. I just remember hearing 1, and the crowd already started cheering, and I'm still there. The fight's still going on, and I remember thinking like, this is the longest 1 second. What's going on? It just seemed like it was going on forever, because I remember it just the chant was finished and it was still going on forever, and I was still in the fight. And obviously within that moment, he scored, and the gold medal was gone. And obviously at the time, I just remember it was such a powerless feeling, knowing that it was over. It was completely over, and there was nothing I could do, and that was it. And as simple as that sounds, it was a very, very tough pill to swallow, and it was just such a lonely feeling. Even though I was in a stadium, 10,000 people packed. This was the premier event of Taekwondo, that at the time, and so it was a packed stadium, tens of thousands of people, and I just felt like I was by myself. A very, very cold and lonely feeling, and obviously, some of the people watching this may have seen the interview that happened. That was just a few moments afterwards, and the emotion I showed in that interview was just really how I was feeling. There just wasn't any time to put on a filter or to, go pretend that I felt that I was okay with it. In that moment, at that time, that's how I genuinely felt. I felt like I'd blown it. I felt like I'd let, my supporters down. I felt like I was getting a lot of great messages of support, and people I knew back at home were staying up late, especially to watch this final, because we were on Brazil time. I believe it was showing about 3 a.m. So and I was cognizant of that. So I just felt like I'd really let myself down, and I guess really let GB down in a way. I know it sounds very dramatic, but in that moment when you've just lost an Olympic final, that's how it feels. So it really was a down moment. And obviously then I had to go on the podium again and see the same gold medal, or big tall man breaking down with absolute joy that he's done it, that he's achieved it for himself and for his nation, and he's gonna go home a national hero now. So that's, I would be lying to you today if I said that was comfortable for me. And even going back to that now in my memory now, it does even invoke some emotion just thinking about that. Like, oh man, that was a really sad time. However, what I'm most grateful for was waking up the next morning and seeing that the sun was still shining. The birds were still chirping. Life goes on. I spoke to my parents, and they were very proud of me, and I was doing some interviews, and life goes on. So and I think that one of the biggest lessons 2016 taught me is that, I knew it was okay to lose, but it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to kind of get that those sad moments out, and it's okay to not hold it in. Believe it or not, Radzi, I'm not really a super what I would say emotional person, in the sense of what you saw at the interview, me breaking down into tears, is probably maybe one of only 3 or 4 times that I can remember crying as an adult man. So I just I guess the lesson that taught me is that it's okay. You don't have to be crying or getting out some emotion. You can still be a very masculine or tough guy, but everyone has their moments, and if something if what feels like something traumatic happens to you, it's okay to let that emotion out. Mine just happened to be on TV, just because of the format in which that emotional trauma happened. But I was able to get past it very quickly. Literally in 24 hours, I got to see literally the bright side of life. We're in a beautiful location. We're in Brazil. Yes, I didn't get the gold. I remember thinking at the time, but hey, I did. I gave it my best. I gave it my best effort, and that's what it is. And hey, there's worse things in life, in quote unquote failing and still landing on an Olympic silver medal. So I'm very proud of how Rio went, and I'm able to look past it, and I really think that was an important lesson for me, because I don't think it's possible to experience a more painful loss. For the most painful losses, you can bounce back. You can still look forward. You can set new goals. Life goes on, and you can always, even out of your most painful defeats that feel like it just knocked the wind out of you, there's always good things to extract from them. And right now, Radzi, I'm at a stage in my career where I have been for a very long time, to be very honest. I look at my losses as the biggest opportunities to grow. So, and unfortunately, the hard losses, the ones that are back to emotion, are usually the ones where we can learn the most from, because they made you feel that pain. So if you can use that pain and turn it back into, okay, I never want this to happen again, because it felt that painful. What can I learn from it? How can I upgrade my style? What new moves can I do? How can I tighten up my defense? What safe kicks can I do? So if I'm ever in that situation again, I know exactly what to do. That for me is real growth, and unfortunately, it can take pain. Usually it takes pain to grow, and that was my version in my sport, and and that's why I think I've been able to be so positive about it, is because I see it for what it is. It was a loss, and as long as I can extract some learning from it, then I'll be all the better for it. And now I feel even better prepared to go and deliver a gold medal because of what happened in Rio. So there's silver linings, so to speak, to every situation, and that's how I look back on I say Rio 2016.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Like, for
No
me,
problem,
watching
no problem.
that back, there was you had your interview with Nick Hope, which is,
Yes,
I kind of put that moment as up there of a Derek Redmond in '92 being on the track, because that was sport transcended the event. Sport transcended what it is. 2 men competing in a martial art to try their best and win. It was so much more than that. You could see the truth coming out. And then actually there's a point in the interview, the moment that you really break down is when you're about to say, I've got to wait 4 more years. And it was a stream of consciousness that just came out. And when I listened to it, it was just so pure. And you seldom get to see that in defeat. You often see it in victory, where people let themselves go and then talk about how difficult the journey has been. But in defeat, it was just every single person with a heart and a pulse would say, wow, that is the power of sport right there. But the other thing about it was we'd just seen two polarizing pictures. We'd seen one of absolute devastation, dejection. You're stood there, your head couldn't have been hung any lower. And then we have Cisse of the Ivory Coast.
Yep.
And this pure euphoria of him and his coach running around.
Yep.
But the kind of lasting legacy of that in his country has been one that I guess, in a way, you can actually be proud of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this, for me, is what Cisse's win has done for Africa has been incredible. First, gold medal for the Ivory Coast in the Olympics. First African Taekwondo gold medal, and the response in his country. He's there was massive parades, in the streets, and as a result, we've now seen the continent of Africa become a serious player in Taekwondo. So we're seeing the growth of Taekwondo in a region where it needed a boost, and it certainly got one. So when I look at the situation there, I can be very honest and say, that looked like it was just meant to be. Or at the very least, I can see it's been a massive positive, not just for Cisse and the Ivory Coast and his family and his life, but for the entire continent. And that's an incredible thing to see. And yes, like you said, I'm certainly very proud to see that. I'm very happy to see that. And me and Cisse, we were friends before, during, and after our final. Some people think that we're worst of enemies or something like that. I said, no, you must be crazy. Me and Cisse have always been cool, and we were hanging out after the final, actually. So literally the next day we're hanging out in the Olympic Village. So I'm always very happy to see him do well. And we're in different weight divisions now, so now I can fully root for him and he can fully root for me. although I heard he's getting fat in the Ivory Coast, so he might be coming out to heavyweight too. I'm gonna have to cut that out and send that to him.
Let's go back 4 years to your third moment that made you. Being a boy from Walthamstow, as we established at the start, people talk about London as being one, if you like, community, but the reality is London is an enormous city, and whether you're from the north, that's very different to somebody from the south. East, very different to the west. But right, and where you come from, it really is a home Olympics in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
So, 2005, the announcement happens that it's going to be an Olympic Games in London. London have won the bid. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I was extremely excited, but probably more excited as, okay, it'll be fantastic. It's only in London. We'll be able to go get tickets. In fact, that's exactly what the attitude was. Like, be easy to get tickets, and yeah, that turned out to be wrong. Sorry, guys, but so we'll be able to go watch all the events. So it was kind of more as a spectator, I think I was thinking. Then I just remember through the years, I'd ride up on my bike on that 2.6 mile bike ride. With some of my friends, actually. I remember seeing the scaffolding and it kind of being built throughout the stages, and it was just like, I guess, a vision or a dream that, wow, imagine what that's gonna be like. That would be so crazy. Can you even imagine going to the Olympics in London? Wow. But it was more from that's so ludicrous. It's probably not gonna be me, but that's gonna be amazing for whoever it is. And I don't know. I'll just keep doing that. I'll just keep riding up to it and just seeing it being built throughout the stages. It was just kind of fascinating to me. So I would do that pretty often. Fast forward now to when to 2012, I'm in the academy at this stage, so I'm in the setup. So the dream is real, and I got the call to go, and I just remember just feeling absolutely euphoric. I mean, I told my dad and my family, and it was just like, wow, that's amazing, going to the Olympics. What I wasn't prepared for was, unfortunately, media backlash to my selection for the 2012 games. Just a quick summary of the situation. Aaron Cook, I think he left on bad terms. So just before I came in, he was already gone by the time I came in, and at that point I didn't know if it was his plan to go represent another country, which he obviously eventually he did do.
The media backlash to you personally, I imagine, must have actually not only hurt you but hurt the people around you. And I guess I really wonder, and I think a lot of people listening would really want to know how that affects you, a guy who's had the dream come true. You're going to an Olympic Games, it's your first Olympic Games, it's your home Olympic Games, but this is almost the stuff of nightmares, and it's now leaching out into your family as well.
Absolutely, it definitely affected my family. There was definitely hate mail. Where, you know, some of it was, as you can imagine, very racist, which I just remember thinking that's kind of crazy in 2012. But you know, I guess here we are in 2020. But anyway, at the time I was, I guess it made me very jaded. Or I just kind of felt pretty isolated. I didn't. Unfortunately, I, in a sense, kind of bought in a little bit to some of the constant media barrage, but maybe the country wasn't behind me, and maybe there was genuine hate out there for me. So I really didn't know what to expect. As a matter of fact, we prepared by doing some of our test matches in the gym. We had a loudspeaker, and some of them had jeers and boos ready, so I could be mentally prepared to potentially be being booed in my home city, in my hometown. Like you said, literally just around the corner from where I grew up. So there was really a feeling of, I didn't know what to expect. I'm really, really happy to say that when I went out there to compete, the response I received was terrific, and it was wonderful, and so I'm now able to go back with amazing memories from competing at London 2012. But up until that moment, Rad, you gotta understand, we were completely unsure of the response I was gonna receive. So we literally...
Is it scary?
Not scary in a sense, but it definitely did feel like I was just operating in my own lane. That so almost maybe a little bit isolated, and we did kind of isolate in a sense, obviously being in the training camp, and didn't want to to risk putting myself out there too much to potentially leave myself open. Really didn't know what to expect from the audience and what the reception was going to be, but I'm so happy that it was overwhelmingly positive.
And the noise, by the way, the noise inside that arena when they announced your name, not only was it not negative in the slightest, it was deafening.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Razzie. The first time I walked out, so for the first match of the day, the noise, like you said, was so loud and deafening. I remember I leaned over my shoulder to speak to my coach, and I said, like, wow, it's so loud in here, and I couldn't hear the sound of my own voice. That's how loud it was. I kid you not. That first walking out, it was just like a puncture of sound in both ears. I couldn't believe how loud it was, and but thankfully, all throughout that period, I'd been speaking and in contact with some kind of GB gold medalists from the past, and they all told me, like, you've been to Europeans, you've been to World Championships, and you think Olympics is just another tournament. So they told me it's different, and nothing's quite like an Olympics. And it was that moment, that unbelievably loud sound, that's when it fully set in on me, like, oh, there's nothing like an Olympics. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, right. And so the way it works with Taekwondo is quite interesting in that with football, you reach the semi-finals, and that may guarantee you a bronze medal in football, or you may have to have a third place playoff. In Taekwondo, it's different. You enter the repechage dependent upon who you lost to. If you lose to the people that meet in the final, so you lose to Garcia of Spain in London, you now have a second chance, but the pressure is on. Do you remember the moment when you actually lost to him and how you felt at that particular time?
Yeah, I was obviously devastated, because at that time you almost feel like you proved all those, I guess, quote unquote haters, if you're gonna call it that, kind of prove them right. You're giving them the best ammunition they could possibly hope for. That he's lost. Like you mentioned earlier, in Taekwondo we have the repechage system, which ultimately I think is a fairer system, which is dependent on who you lose to. So if you lose to any of the finalists, like you explained just there, I think that's a better system, just because many a time on the day, I think you can have what should be the final before the medals. So you can have the best, say, number one fight, number two in the first fight of the day, and whoever loses that maybe goes out with nothing. But if the person that wins that fight goes on to the final, I do believe that person deserves an opportunity to get on the podium. But anyway, I felt down, I felt dejected. But when I went to the back behind the ring, I actually wanted to stop. I was ready to. I didn't care. I'd only gone there to accomplish the gold medal, so I was that down. I wanted to pull out. I was like, I ain't interested. And two of my coaches sat me down and just said, "Hey, we know that you're down, that you lost, but you need to put that out of your mind, and you need to treat this bronze medal as your new gold medal. Getting this bronze medal is now your gold medal, so you need to do everything you can." And as simple as that sounds, right, it just clicked something in my brain. And this is what I'm talking about, the power of making a decision. And they said that, and I just heard my inner voice say, okay, because there's no way we're going to lose twice on one day. I was like, okay, cool. And that was it. And I had to, the first fight of the repechage was against 4-time world champion, one of the heavy favourites, if not probably the heavy favourite going in to the fight. And so on paper, a fight that, I probably wouldn't have been the favourite in, I went and dealt with him. And as we mentioned in the opening questions or challenge, I beat Armenia 9-3 to accomplish the bronze medal. And that was, again, just kind of tapping into that the mentality. I'm a firm believer in when you make a conscious decision and accept nothing else as an option in your brain, more often than not, you'll get it. And if you don't, you'll probably come very, 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 very close and be proud of yourself anyway. So that really is my mentality, and the reason why I think all of those moments have been so formative is because I've learned something which I believe has either changed me or just kind of backed up some very strong beliefs that I've had, and I use that as an anchor of, I know this works because I've been here before, and I kind of tap into that, and I'm able to continue, and because I've got that experience to tap into, and and literally that's really what I would say to young athletes in particular. Some of your losses, they can feel so devastating, but life goes on, and so should you. And they're only losses if you don't learn from them. We spoke about some some really high pressure situations, some very, very painful losses, and some really good moments too. But in all honesty, it's the pain. It's for feeling like, it's like feeling like completely alone, feeling lonely. It's those really hard losses that almost test your will. Those are the ones where you learn something from. And honestly, those are the ones that I'm most grateful for, because those moments, those really low periods, are how I've been able to bounce back and be stronger than ever, and have a mentality that is just rock solid. So what I would say to young athletes, embrace those moments as hard as it is. Embrace those moments, see them as a part of the journey. And how I see it, the more, bumps in the road, the more like beautiful that last chapter's gonna be. That end when you're on top, in spite of everything of what you've been through, all those hard moments, it's gonna make the victory even sweeter. So just persevere, just keep going. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, all that stuff. Just keep on going, keep learning, keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, no matter what the outcome is, you'll be proud of yourself, and you can never, ever, ever, you can't discount that feeling of knowing that you've given it your absolute best effort, and good will always come from that. I'm such a firm believer in that.
Lutalo, final question. I think I know the answer here. There's one thing we love in Britain more so than somebody who wins. It's an underdog who wins. It's somebody who's been through the mill to get there. So London 2012, bronze medal. Rio 2016, silver medal.
Yes, sir.
Tokyo 2021, what's it going to be?
I'm going to let you say it.
Gold medal.
Gold medal, baby. Gold medal.
But it's honestly been a really, really enjoyable conversation. Your honesty, I think, to tell the story behind the story is what's really going to hopefully resonate with people. And hopefully that will just mean that come Tokyo 2020, you basically have a documentary that means that as Britain, we just go, yes, that is our guy. Lutalo, you're a busy guy, so I'll leave you to it. Thank you so much for your time. Stay healthy, stay safe, and see you in Tokyo.
Thank you, man. I'm going to see you there. Take care.
And that there was Lutalo Muhammad, a real, true sports personality, and also just one of life's really nice guys who also happens to be world class in his sport. And I tell you what, how special would it be for a country we love underdogs to have the fairy tale finish of bronze in his home Olympics 2012, silver desperately close in 2016, but gets the job done and takes home the gold in Tokyo next year. Good luck, Lutalo. And I tell you what, if anyone can do it, Lutalo can. Well, if you enjoyed that, please do rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. But also be sure to join us next week for someone who has managed to get that Olympic gold medal. She did it back in Sydney 2000, unbelievably 20 years ago. That was in the heptathlon. I am, of course, talking about the super athlete, the super mum with a super story, Denise Lewis. It's not to be missed. See you then.